boys and girls, students of Buddhist Sunday school, parents, grandparents, teachers of Sunday school and moral education. May you all be well and peaceful. For this lesson, we are going to tell you a Russian fairy tale entitled Clever Katya. Now, this fairy tale has good lessons we can learn. So at the end of the story, we will summarize the good lessons and also good Dhamma points that we can learn from this story. So now let us launch the PowerPoint as usual. Now, so we are going to see the PowerPoint and it has the various pages of the book from which the story is taken. Now we see the first slide. These two girls dancing. Now, of course, this shows the cover of actually the book. Clever Katya. Katya is the name of a Russian girl. Now, you see here, you have this Russia, a very, very powerful country, isn't it? Right. So now let me stop the video showing my face. It's not necessary now. At the end only when I do the summary, then perhaps I will get the video back. Okay, so now let's go on. Here you have another picture taken from the cover. You have various versions of the story. So this is another book cover, right? A story from Russia, and it is suitable for children and also parents who want to learn the story and tell children. Now, this story is about a Tsar. What is a Tsar? A Tsar actually is a Russian emperor. During those days, before 1917, the emperors of Russia were known as Tsars. Tsars is emperor lah. So this emperor, right, of Russia during that time thought that he was the cleverest person in Russia until he met a simple girl from the countryside known as Katya. And Katya actually was the daughter of a farmer. So let us go to the story. I don't think most of you have heard this. Right? It's quite a new fairy tale for nearly all of you. So let us go to the story. Now, the Tsar of Russia was out in his coach when he saw a farmer eating some bread. And you can see that. So, you know, the Tsar of this Russia, he would travel in his coach. Coach is something like a carriage, right? Those days, of course, you don't expect them to have cars or aeroplanes or even motorbikes, right? So it will be like a horse-driven carriage. So we call it a coach. Right? And he saw this farmer eating some bread. I'm hungry, said the Tsar. Stop the coach. So he got out and asked the farmer for some bread. So the farmer bowed low and gave him some because he was the emperor. So of course the ordinary people had to pay the respect by bowing to the emperor. Right? That is hormat lah. After eating the bread, you know what the Tsar said? The Tsar said, "This is the best bread I have ever tasted." Who made it? My daughter Kaya, Your Majesty. Your Highness, Your Majesty, replied the farmer. Tell me about Katya, uh, said the Tsar. Uh, so, so he was very interested lah because of the bread. He wanted to find out who made the bread. Oh, she's a wonderful girl, said the farmer. The farmer's daughter lah. So pretty, so good, so strong, such a good worker, such a good singer, and such a good baker, said the Tsar, with his mouth full of bread. Is she clever too? Oh, yes, boasted the farmer. She's the cleverest person in Russia. Wow. When the emperor or the Tsar heard it, what? Cleverer than me? Oh no, Your Majesty, I'm sorry. I didn't mean that, began the farmer. He was afraid of insulting the emperor. So he said, oh no, it doesn't include you, other than you. She's the cleverest. But the Tsar had jumped back into his coach. I'll be back. He called out. He wanted to come back. He wanted to meet this girl, Katya, who is supposed to be very, very clever. So let's go on. The next day, the Tsar came back. He gave the farmer a basket of eggs. You could see the picture. If your Katya is so clever, see if she can hatch these eggs into chickens. He said, I'll be back tomorrow. So, the emperor wanted to test whether this Katya was as clever as the father claimed. So the farmer took eggs to the daughter Katya, but these eggs are hard-boiled eggs. She said, they won't ever hatch out. Oh no, said the farmer. What shall we do? Don't worry, I know what to do, said Katya with a smile. So she was so smart, she straight away could know that the eggs were not fresh eggs but hard-boiled eggs, ready to eat. So how can you expect chickens to come out from these hard-boiled eggs? So let us go on. The next day, the Tsar was on his way back to the farmer's house when he saw a girl throwing some beans onto the ground. She was singing a song. Grow, beans, grow, she sang. You see, you know what are beans? Actually, you have various types of beans. We have red beans, green beans, right? Bijian, and then, these beans, even you have tauge beans, green peas, they can grow into tauge. So beans also can grow into small plants, like tauge, one of the example. So the Tsar stopped the coach. What is your name? He asked the girl. Katya, she replied. Oh, so you are clever, Katya, said the Tsar. What are you doing? I'm sowing boiled beans, Your Majesty, said Katya, and she went on with her song. Grow, beans, grow. That was the song. So she told the emperor that he was sowing, that means wanting to plant the beans that have been boiled already, ready to eat actually. Right? So let us see. The Tsar laughed. How can boiled beans grow, you silly girl? He asked. They can grow just as quickly as hard-boiled eggs can hatch up, replied Katya. He was referring to the hard-boiled eggs the emperor gave the father, asking her to have these eggs hatch into chicken size, isn't it? So the Tsar laughed again. Ah, that's a clever reply, he said. I thought I could trick you, but you were too clever for me. All right, you win this time, but let's see if you can do something else. What's that? Asked Katya. So the Tsar gave her a handful of wool, from the sheep, right? The wool. You can see that. I want you to make curtains for the palace out of this. So little wool, the emperor asked her to make the curtains for the palace. So Katya took the wool home and told her father what she had to do. Oh no, said the farmer. How can you make curtains with so little wool? It's impossible. Don't worry, father, replied Katya. I'll think of something. She's a smart, clever girl. The next day, the Tsar came back to the house. He was beginning to like Katya, smart girl. Well, he asked, have you made the curtains? Katya smiled and gave him a little twig. A little twig means a small branch from the tree. It's already probably dead already, a brown color. You can see the twig here, right? What's this for? Asked the Tsar. Well, Your Majesty, it's like this, said Katya. We are very poor, too poor to buy a spinning wheel, a spinning wheel like modern days we use a sewing machine. So those days they have this spinning wheel. But if you can make a spinning wheel out of this twig, then I can spin the wood and make the wool. Then I can spin the wool and make your curtains, right? To get the wool made into curtain, you require a spinning wheel. So the spinning wheel, you need wood, and then carpentry work and make a spinning wheel. So she gave this emperor this small twig, just a little piece of wood only. So then you make the spinning wheel, then I'll make the curtains from the little wool that you gave me lah. So the emperor laughed. He knew he couldn't make a spinning wheel out of a little twig, so little wood, how to make that spinning wheel. You win again, he said. Kaya laughed too. She was beginning to like the Tsar, right? There's one more thing I want you to do, said the Tsar. And he gave Kaya a cup. You can see here a cup. I want you to fill this cup with all the water from the sea, he said. Wow, quite an impossible task, isn't it? Right? So Kaya told her father what she had to do to fill the cup the emperor gave her with all the water from the sea. But that's impossible, the father said. Don't worry, Kaya replied. I'll think of something. All right, I'll think of something. So let's see. The next day, the Tsar was back. Kaya came to the door with the cup. It's empty, said the Tsar. You're not so clever after all. You can't do what I asked. Yes, I can, replied Karya. I can fill the cup with all the water from the sea, but there's one problem. What's that? Asked the Tsar. Well, said Kaya, if I do that, then all the rivers will flow into the sea and fill it up again. But if you dam up all the rivers first, then I can fill the cup in water from the sea. Now you have to understand this. Rivers flow into the sea. So she said, if she were to use up all the water from the sea, then naturally the waters from the rivers will flow into the sea and fill the sea again. That's quite natural, isn't it? Just like in Malaysia, you have in Perak, you have the Perak River, right? The water's flowing, and then you go to the Straits of Malacca, the sea there. You see. So imagine if the Straits of Malacca has no water, then the river water will flow there to fill it. So that's what happens. It's natural. Very smart, Katya. So the Tsar laughed louder than ever. He knew he couldn't dam up all the rivers. How to dam? To put blockade, to block all the rivers from letting the river water flow into the sea. Impossible, isn't it? So also likewise, it was impossible to fill the cup with the seawater. You are a very clever girl, he said. Will you marry me? The emperor began to like, yeah, I will if you promise me one thing, said Katya. What's that? Asked the Tsar. Promise me that if you ever get fed up with me and send me back home, you will let me take something with me. When you get fed up with me already after maybe some maybe months of marriage, then if the emperor were to send her back to her home, she gave the condition, must allow her to take something with her. What thing? Asked the Tsar. The thing I love best in the palace lah, replied Katya. Since the emperor so wealthy and rich, so many things in the palace. So he was thinking, yeah, easy only. Just take any gold piece lah, or any jewelry or whatever lah. Then I promise, said the Tsar. So let's see what happens. Quite interesting, you see. So Katya married the Tsar, and for a year they lived happily. But one night, the Tsar was in a bad mood, and he quarreled with Katya. You think you're so clever, he said. Well, you can go back and be clever in your father's house lah, right? So he called his servants and told them to get a cut. Nowadays, you have seen the bullock cut. So the one, I don't know what sort of cut, something like bullock cut. To get the cart ready to take Katya home to the countryside, the farm lah. So all Katya said was, you look tired. Have a cushion for your head. She was very, very polite, patient, with all the good manners, and he had a good character. So the cushion was very soft. The Tsar closed his eyes and Katya began to sing softly. But I didn't know what she sang lah. I definitely could not be Rasa Sayang, Rasa Sayang, Sayang, definitely not. It must be a Russian song lah. Before long, the Tsar fell asleep in his chair because it was so soothing, the singing. It was tired, you see. Then let us see what happens next. When the servants came back, right? So Katya gave the servants a big chest. Now you can see this is what we call a chest. You've heard of treasure chest, a big container, very big container. You can lock it up, and then inside, you can put your treasure or many other precious things, like a treasure chest, right? So in this case, nobody knew what was inside, right? And told them to put it on the cart because the servants knew that she could take one thing back to her home, isn't it? So then my clothes are in there, she said. Your clothes are very heavy, said the servants, but they heaved the chest onto the cart. You can see the cart here, right? It could be drawn by a person or even a bullock, bulls, right? Or donkeys, or horses, cart. So the servants took Katya home. It's good to see you, Katya, said the father. But you look worried. Why are you back? Did you quarrel with the Tsar? Yes, said Katya. But don't worry, I won't be back for long. right? The smart girl. So, so they heaved the big chest off the cart and took it into the house of the farmer. It's very heavy, said Katya's father. What's in it? Then open the lid and see, said Katya. So the farmer opened the lid of the chest, and there inside lay the Tsar. He was fast asleep. Remember just now, huh? He was tired, and then Kaya sang the song and he fell asleep. So what Kaya did was actually he lifted him and put him into the big chest. The palace had this type of things lah, and then he sort of close it, lock it. What have you done? Asked the farmer. He looked frightened. So let's see what happens. Just then the Tsar woke up and saw Kaya. I thought I told you to go back to your father's house, he said. I did, replied Katya. Because she actually now is in the house of the farmer, her own house. Lah. The Tsar sat up and looked around. And he saw Katya's father. You wicked girl, he said to Katya. How dare you kidnap the Tsar of Russia? How dare you kidnap the emperor? Brought the emperor to the house. Don't you remember your promise? Asked Katya. What promise? Asked the Tsar. You promised that you, if you ever got fed up and sent me home, I could keep the thing I love best in the palace. Well, it's you. It's you I love best. So I could take you back. Lah. Wow, the Tsar laughed. He jumped out of the chest and hugged Katya. You were right, he said to the farmer. Your daughter is the cleverest person in Russia, and I'll never send her away again. And like a fairy tale, so the emperor and the clever Katya girl live happily ever after. Very nice fairy tale, isn't it? Huh? So, you have heard the story of Clever Katya, a fairy tale from Russia. Usually you hear fairy tales from America, England, Grimm's fairy tales, right? Or Hans Andersen. Many fairy tales you have heard. Lah. But this is from Russia, a different one. So now let us see what we can learn, important things we can learn from this story. Wow. So now you have to get ready to go over the important points of what we call lessons to learn. From every story, we can learn important lessons that will help us to live more peacefully, more happily, more wisely. Right? So there are 3 points I have put down, and let us look at them one by one. Now it's not working. You get two coming out together. Doesn't matter, right? We look at the first one. Good, clever thinking will help us to solve problems and get out of trouble or a difficult situation, isn't it? Ah, so from here you can see how important it is for us to do clever thinking. Right? I think I have told a few stories like the monkey and the crocodile, remember? Where the monkey did clever thinking to avoid being eaten by the crocodile, remember? So you see this Kaya, right? She didn't quarrel or didn't argue, right? But she used her brain and her mind to do clever thinking to solve the problem, right? To get out of trouble. In this case, she was given very challenging problems to solve. And each time she solved beautifully. And the last one was the most tricky. She was asked to go back to the home, but she had already said she could take the thing that she loved most. And she took the emperor to the house. Lah. Very clever. So this is the first point for you to realize. It's very important for us to be able to think in a clever manner, in a wise manner. Animals can't. Now, if you ask the animal, the dog, hello, doggy, what is 2 plus 2? The dog will probably say, whoa, whoa. The dog can bark. But we human beings can think, right? Can even think of very, very sophisticated or complex issues and solve. Now, we have, robots lah, we have supercomputers lah, then you can see very advanced smartphones in it. Why? Because of man's ability to think. So from here you see that it's important to train the mind to think. You cannot just say that, well, I can think. No, you need education, you need to read, you need to interact with people who are smart, who are wise, right? There are so many ways where you expand your mind. Education is very important, and you must have the good type of education, right? That trains you to think. Nowadays, many just memorize things, just memorize, what is in the textbook, and then when the test comes out, she will just vomit out whatever she has memorized. But when questions are twisted and set in a very clever manner, uh, such students will be lost. They cannot think already. They cannot think logically, right? So all throughout, you must learn how to think creatively to be able to invent and discover things. I think in the Buddhist Association of Hilapera, we have the slot called English and Thinking, isn't it? I had given for many, many years lessons on thinking, playing these creative thinking games, give you situations where you must think out how to solve the situation. If possible, apply the Dharma wisely to solve the situation. So this is very important training for those people who just memorize, right? Sometimes not even understanding, right? They will not get far because they are not able to think creatively. Remember last time, Brother Bucks came to give the inventors workshop innovation, and he taught you very creative things, how to think, use simple materials. You can be creative and come out with fantastic invention, isn't it? Ah, so that is a very important thing. And another way is doing mental exercises like solving puzzles, right? Like Sudoku lah, or even playing chess lah, or Scrabble lah, many, many other games, board games, and puzzles from books, which will require you to think and solve, right? This is training your mind, like even solving riddles or lateral thinking puzzles. And every Thursday, in fact, actually, I post a PowerPoint which is on the internet. You have many, many games, altogether, usually 50 over slides, where we set riddles and we set very interesting observation problems, all sorts of problems to train your brain and your mind. And answers are given after you have tried by just moving on the slide. So you can check those things out. So must practice. Otherwise, you are not able to solve even simple riddles, right? For example, I used to give, some of the Sunday school students, okay, do you know what dog cannot bark? They cannot answer, all right? Whereas there's one smart kid, he reads and he tries this, he say, I know, brother, oh, hot dog cannot bark. That is good creative thinking, right? Of course, if you say a dead dog, it's also good thinking. But most of them remain silent. Why? Because they cannot think creatively of an answer, isn't it? All right, so that's the second point of a lesson to learn. Now let us look at the last one. To think well, the mind must be calm, clear, and focused. A confused, unsteady mind cannot think clearly. That is very important. find that if you are in a situation that is quite tricky lah, maybe there is a problem or some trouble, and then you get panic, and your mind gets, very, very upset or very frightened, right? Not settled at all. You cannot remain calm and steady, right? Then you find you cannot think clearly. Similarly, in exams, so when you face exam papers and you have, like, for example, tricky maths questions and so on, so some get very panic. I've seen that in my Form 6 class those days. Some good students also have this problem. They look at the problem, wow, the minds get so frightened and are so unsteady already. Fear, worry, panic, cannot think already, right? So in the Sunday school, of course, we train you in simple meditation, right? And then also learn the Dharma, how to train the mind to be calm, clear. When the mind is calm, clear, focused. Focus means you are able to concentrate, a focused mind. So these three things very important. Having a calm mind, a clear mind, and a focused mind. They are related. When you're calm and focused, your mind becomes clearer. You can see the problem better, and answers come for you to use, right, to solve the problem. So that is a very, very useful thing. And this applies to all people, young and old, right? College students, university students, and even old people. And this cannot come if you do not train your mind every time. Learning the Dharma is very important, and then practicing like some chanting, meditation, right? To still the mind, because the mind is like a monkey, isn't it? Monkey mind, restless, running here and there, and faced with the situation, panic already, cannot think clearly, cannot settle the mind. Ayo, what happened? Ayo, I will die. This will come. All the negative thoughts come, cannot remain calm and still and clear in the mind and focus. So cannot think. Whereas you look at the girl, Katya, given the situation, she is not worried, right? She says, don't worry, father, I will find something. She has maybe that calm, clear, focused mind, and she can think of a brilliant solution to the problem, right? So if the mind is confused, right, kalang kabut, unsteady mind, and cannot think clearly, then you find that that person will have more suffering, because he cannot solve his problems. He cannot solve the issues that he is facing. All sorts of problems, school at home, or maybe your mind problems, relationship. The mind is not able to think clearly with a calm state. So a lot of dukkha. Right? So you see, in Buddhism, very important is the mind. In Dhammapada, the Buddha said the mind is the forerunner of all things. Right? So you see how important it is to train the mind. So you see, in all the lessons, you will see that I emphasize a lot on the mind. So even if I tell you all those stories, the fairy tales, at the end, you will see the lessons pertain to training and developing your mind. That is very important. Then eventually you will become more happy, you become more peaceful, and your wisdom grows, so that you'll be able to solve the problems of life. Definitely in life, in the world, there will be problems in it. But some people, they can solve these problems better. They can remain more peaceful. Others are, they can become mentally sick. Isn't it? So today, I hope I have been able to convey some important lessons to learn based on a very interesting story, a Russian fairy tale, right? Supposed to be for children, but I think our people also can listen, right? Or can read, right? I also sometimes go over the Jataka stories and then see how we can apply certain important points to discuss based on the story. So to conclude, before we say sadhu, I'd like to thank all the students and then also parents and grandparents and the teachers of Sunday school and moral education for taking the time and putting in the effort to listen, to go over, right? If without the audience, right, then no point preparing all these things. Of course, I post in the internet. Anybody in the world can get access to it. So let us conclude by saying sadhu 3 times. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. May all be well and peaceful. Take care.